Hello there guys, how are you doing? This is Rob. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a fantastic day. And today may or may not be the last video that I make for 2023, but one thing I am going to do is discuss the lack of Nintendo Switch 2 in the year of 2023. Essentially, today's discussion boils down to the fact that in 2023, I think that we finally saw the larger conversation shift from the current Nintendo Switch and the current Nintendo generation to theories and speculations and desires for the Nintendo Switch 2 or the next generation console from Nintendo, whatever they're going to do. The Switch Pro thing seems like way old news. No one's been talking about that concept for a while, and I think that that's the right call because personally, I haven't been thinking too much about a Switch Pro as a real concept for like probably 2 or so years. I switched to the idea of a Switch 2 many, many years ago, as a lot of you guys know, and I think that it's interesting here in the final days of 2023 that when we look back on how the online discussion from the gaming community and the Nintendo fan community has, like I said, shifted from focusing on the current generation to realizing that Nintendo has to be thinking about the next generation sometime sooner than later. And for a lot of the years, many people, myself included, thought that we would actually see the Switch 2 revealed or maybe even released this year. And so we also need to talk about the fact that that did not happen. And does that mean that the next generation is coming next year? I personally think so, but we can kind of discuss and dissect all of that. It's very interesting how 2023 played out, and so that's what we're going to discuss. Of course, by the way, I do want to say thank you and welcome to all of the new subscribers on the channel. We've actually had pretty strong growth over the past 2 or so weeks, which I really appreciate. So like I said, to all of the newcomers, welcome to the channel. Appreciate you being here. And just to let you guys know, I am actually currently trying to cross 25,000 subscribers, which I hope to do sometime in the next couple of months. So, of course, if you're new to the channel and you like the conversation, I hope you subscribe. Or if you've been watching for a while and not subscribed, then I also hope this video convinces you to finally do so. So here at the end of the year, I can't really talk about the fact that we didn't see anything official about the Switch 2 in 2023 without first addressing my own predictions and my own theories and speculation, which is all it's ever been, that I've been discussing with you guys on the channel going back to 2020, right? It's been kind of a long-running thing that I'd say in early 2020, it could have been as early as January or February. I mean, it really might have been the first month of that year, before the pandemic even, if you think about it, that I was already thinking ahead. I wasn't thinking that Nintendo was going to move on from the Switch in 2020 because that would have been crazy. The thing was only 3 years old and it was like at its peak in terms of sales and popularity and games and whatnot. But what I was willing to start doing at that time was just think ahead for fun and say, I thought, and again, this is me in 2020 speaking, and again, there's plenty of videos and also a lot of live streams. I think if you were to even dare try to go back through my videography of 2020 and 2021 and try to find where I was talking about this stuff, you will definitely find a couple of videos focused on this topic, but a lot of it was also coming from live streams, which I used to do a lot back then, and I don't do live streams anymore. So a lot of my discussions about it came from those live streams. So anyway, me back in 2020, I was doing a lot of speculating to you guys and thinking ahead, saying that I think in 2022 or 23, which was the future back then, I could see in 22 or 23 Nintendo finally moving on to the Switch 2 or the next generation. I don't think the Switch can last 10 years like Kimishima said, like the 2017 Switch hardware itself could last for 10 years as Nintendo's only hardware on the market. I never believed that was true. I don't even know if that's what he was trying to say when he made that statement, but to be fair, he did make that statement and I've never denied the truth of that. But I was willing to look ahead and say, I feel like around the 6 or 7 year mark, it's going to make sense for Nintendo to look at revealing or maybe even releasing their next generation console. And again, I wasn't talking Switch Pro. I was talking Switch 2 next gen thing, whatever. And so 2022 was my main target. Obviously, that didn't happen. My backup target was 2023. And with 3 days to go, clearly 2023 was also wrong. However, I think it's worth noting, and I think that this is also valuable. You guys can tell me if you agree or not. I know some people got very upset over the course of the past few years when I would talk about the concept of the next-gen console. And here we are at the end of my target window of 22 or 23, and it hasn't happened yet. But you guys can tell me if you agree with this or not or whatever. But when I look at the fact that, like I said in the intro here, the conversation online has shifted so dramatically and so massively in terms of everyone thinks the Switch 2 is coming soon. I feel like there is something there to the fact that, whether I was right or wrong isn't even really the point. I mean, a couple of years ago, I was like targeting this window of time that we're currently in as some kind of next gen thing. And granted, I thought we would see or at least be playing the console by now. And Nintendo wasn't ready to do so, and that's fine because, I mean, look, 2023 also had the release of Tears of the Kingdom, one of their biggest games of all time. So Nintendo still knew, back when I was talking about this in 2020, they knew that they had a Zelda sequel they were going to release around this time. So that was clearly going to keep the current Switch momentum going. But the fact that 2023 still became the year where everyone realized Nintendo's got to be thinking about the future soon, and now we all think, and by all I mean most, maybe you don't think, but the vast majority of people think that the Switch 2 is coming next year in 2024, I mean, it shows that there was something to that 6 or 7 year kind of window for that being the ideal time for Nintendo to move on from the Switch. And with slowing sales, there's even more evidence to the fact that Nintendo can't keep the Switch gravy train rolling, if I can speak correctly. They can't keep the Switch gravy train rolling too much longer. We can't forget, you guys, as much as we all love the Switch, and maybe you're diehard Switch fan and you don't even want to think about the idea of the next generation for whatever reason. I know that there are folks out there who feel that way, and it's everyone's right to feel that way. I think it's a little strange. We should be allowed to be excited for the next-gen tech and hardware from our favorite companies, but whatever. But whatever you think about the current Switch, we can't forget that once we hit March 3rd, 2024, which is like 3 months from now, that will be the 7th anniversary of the Switch's release, but that means starting on March 4th, we will be within the 8th year of the Switch's life. So whether we do or don't know about the Switch 2 come March 3rd, we're going to be entering the 8th year of the Nintendo Switch's life. That's a long time, and it probably feels like a time warp, because it almost feels like, and I'm speaking, I guess, for myself, it feels like the Switch isn't that old. 8 years, 7 to 8 years, based on how you're going to look at that March 3rd date. Holy crap, man. When I just think about my life in general, from like my birth to now, I think of the Nintendo Switch as like, oh yeah, that was like 3 years ago. It's like this tiny little dot at the end of my current life here at 43 years old. It feels like the Switch is like 3 or 4 years old to me, but it's actually twice that. In just a couple of months, it will be twice that old. And look at the library we've had so far, and look at the insane sales. I mean, I still believe the thing has a chance to cross the PlayStation 2 in lifetime sales. That chance is looking slimmer and slimmer with each passing month and each passing year. But it's damned close. And the fact that it's even close shows that the Switch has had an incredible run. Nintendo had an amazing rebound off of the Wii U. Even though I love and defend the Wii U, you guys know it was a failure. The Switch represents the best rebound I think we've ever seen a video game company do. But at some point, you gotta say goodbye. You have to catch up to technology. And so Switch 2 next year in year 8 just makes too much sense to me. Now, there's a lot of talk going around right now, which of course there always is, that Nintendo has a big January Nintendo Direct or a big January presentation planned, and people who pretend to be leakers are claiming that there's leaks saying this is going to happen. Now, I think that could happen for sure. I'm not necessarily believing any of the fake leaks and stuff that's out there. I think it's just kind of noise and conversation online and sensationalist headlines and YouTube titles and whatnot. So I don't personally buy into that, but we can start talking about if the Switch 2 is truly coming next year, like I and many of us believe, when is the right time to reveal it and when is the right time to release it? That's kind of a larger conversation for a different video. I obviously touch on that occasionally on my videos on the channel. I'll just quickly repeat what I've said before. I think we'll probably have it revealed in the first half of the year. If it happens really early in the year, I think there's a chance that it's released by the summer. So I think first half release of the Switch 2 is still on the table. But obviously, I think the safest bet would be that it's revealed in the first half and released in the second half around the holiday. And then the conversation around what launch games are going to be there, what's happening with Metroid Prime 4 is obviously my number one focus on Earth. Every day I wake up wondering, where is Metroid Prime 4? It's like my driving force in terms of the hobby of video games to me, and even stuff I like to talk about on the channel. So, those are different conversations. How much more powerful is it going to be? Is there going to be a different gimmick beyond, the hybrid nature and the Joy-Cons? Will it even still be hybrid, or will they change it up and move on from the hybrid concept? I think most of us expect it to be another hybrid Switch-like device, but you never know with Nintendo, which to me is one of the most exciting things about Nintendo and what keeps me being a fan, beyond their incredible games, is the fact that they always keep us guessing. And even if they're trying something wacky and kooky for the next console, I'm going to be open-minded with whatever it is until I have a chance to play it. But I also kind of fall in line with a lot of people thinking that this might be one of those rare instances where Nintendo will play it safe and just release another hybrid device, but just make it more powerful and maybe just improve the general concept of the Joy-Cons and the tech of whatever the controllers are going to be. So I hope that that's kind of what they do. But like I said, I'm open-minded, and whatever they're going to do, I'm going to wait to see exactly what it is and be excited for it until I actually play it. So the only thing I'll say is, like I said, I don't know if I have a chance to get out one more video before the end of the year. Maybe I get something out over the weekend. But man, Sunday is New Year's Eve, you guys. 2024 is days away, which is crazy. It's exciting. I personally like New Year's. I get excited for the new year and, that kind of artificial fresh start that humanity has created around the concept of New Year's and New Year's resolutions and whatnot. It doesn't really mean anything, but I kind of like it. I get into the idea of it's a whole fresh start, put a year behind me, look forward to the new year. And so when we focus that back in on gaming and focus more specifically on Nintendo, I think it's going to be a great year. 2023 was a great year. The whole gaming industry had tons of amazing games. Nintendo's first half was packed full of games. We got a new Zelda and a new Pikmin and a new Fire Emblem. We got my favorite game of all time, Metroid Prime, got an incredible remaster. Just game-changing for me. So Nintendo had a strong year, but is next year going to be stronger? Right now, the lineup looks very weak. We have 4 Mario Universe games. Only one of them is new with Princess Peach. So we know that they're keeping some big releases up their sleeves, and I think it's 90% of their surprises for 2024 are probably revolving around the reveal and release of the Switch 2. Just speculation as a fan, but that's what I feel, and I bet that most of you guys feel pretty similarly as well. So time will tell. No Switch 2 in 2022, no Switch 2 in 2023. We're looking ahead to 24. I'm personally hopeful. What do you guys think? And with that, that's a wrap, and I'll catch you guys on another video, maybe next year, or maybe in a couple of days. We'll see.